Hello and welcome back to World Talks here on TVP World, where every word matters. I'm your host, Diana Skaya. Germany's 2025 federal election campaign is officially underway, with Chancellor Olaf Scholz and the Social Democrats aiming to turn around declining support amid growing political and economic challenges. Now, with heated debates on immigration, energy policy, and the nation's role in Europe and global affairs, this election promises to shape the country's future. Now, to discuss the stakes, strategies, and potential outcomes, I'm joined by Piotr Andrzejewski from the Institute for Western Affairs. Good morning, Piotr. Thank you so much for being with us here this morning on World Talks.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right, Piotr. So now, before anything, let's get into the reason behind this election. Now, why is this election campaign particularly important for Germany? What are some of the key issues that you can say are at stake for voters?
Well, it's the economy. It's the economy that caused the collapse of the government of the traffic lights coalition. It was a long-lasting disagreement between the former federal minister of finances, Christian Lindner, of the Free Democrats, and the former vice chancellor and minister of the economy, Robert Habeck of the Green Party. For the last year, they had this huge strife on how to boost growth in the German economy, which will enter recession for the second time in a row, for a second year in a row this year. And this is highly problematic. And they had completely different visions on how to stimulate growth. Habeck wanted to implement a stimulus package, which means more debt. At the same time, Lindner said, no more debt. We already are indebted too much after COVID, after the energy crisis and inflation crisis caused by the Russian invasion in Ukraine. We need to create a better playing field for our companies, which means lowering tax burdens and no more stimulus packages. And they had this disagreement. Of course, there's a political level. Lindner had calculated that it would not be beneficial for the FDP party, for the liberals, to remain in the coalition simply because their party is struggling to reach the electoral threshold of 5%. They're balancing. It's not really clear if they will enter the next Bundestag, the next parliament. And it is probably much easier to do so while you're in the opposition and not as a part of a government that is losing popular support.
Piotr, let me ask you this, but how is Olaf Scholz positioning himself and how is he trying to regain voter confidence going into this election?
Well, first of all, the campaign started the very moment that the coalition collapsed. Olaf Scholz didn't wait for Lindner to leave the coalition. He literally sacked him, he kicked him out, and showed himself that he's capable of being a leader. It was a strong move. And he's also started the campaign quite quickly. He's trying to position himself as the responsible person. He's telling that his major political opponent, Friedrich Merz from the Christian Democratic Union, is almost a warmonger, that he wants to deliver more long-range missiles to Ukraine, and that is a risk of escalation. This is something that he, a responsible politician, would not do, and he would not endanger Germany's security and Germany's safety. So this is his idea for the campaign right now. And but at the same time, we have to say that all the three parties that were the parts of the traffic lights coalition, so the Liberals, the Greens, and obviously Social Democrats, have fewer support in the polls than the Christian Democratic Union, than the biggest opposition party right now. The game is actually what's in the game is who is going to be the coalition partner for Friedrich Merz as well, because the Christian Democrats will not be able to govern on their own. They will need a coalition partner.
So which parties do you think might dominate that coalition if it's formed?
Yeah, exactly. This is the biggest question in Germany right now. Obviously, for Merz, the best and the dreamlike coalition partner would be Lindner, would be the Freedom Democratic Party. This would be the dream scenario, but they are simply too weak. They may not achieve not enough votes to be a viable coalition partner, and that leaves Merz with a suboptimal scenario where he would have to talk with the Social Democrats, and this means that Scholz would not be the chancellor. He would be the vice chancellor. He would be aiming at this position. So this is a interesting balancing act that you see now.
How realistic is that that this exactly what you just said will actually unfold?
Very realistic. I think that actually Germany is heading towards the so-called GroKo, the Grosse Koalition, the big coalition between the two major parties, Christian Democrats and Social Democrats. This is probably the most probable scenario. But I want to highlight also one other aspect of Scholz's campaign. The thing is that he's trying to regain the votes he's losing to the Greens, but also to the new party, the Bündnis Sarah Wagenknecht, the Union of Sarah Wagenknecht. So she's this left-leaning politician, which is also having this anti-immigrant, has this slight nationalistic stance, and it's a new political development. And she's also slightly pro-Russian and anti-Ukraine in her positions, and therefore this is why Scholz is trying to balance this out and to be this moderate person. He wants to include the voters of Sarah Wagenknecht, and with some success actually, because the newest polls shows that we have slightly that the SPD party, the Social Democratic Party, is slightly regaining those voters. But obviously, this is only the beginning of the political campaign, and we will see how it unfolds.
Piotr, what is driving voter dissatisfaction in this election? I mean, I know you mentioned economy, but what else? What are some of the other things that we're looking at? If you can give us a little bit more details.
Yeah, well, I would like to go a little bit deeper into the economical factors, simply because the level of life in Germany has stagnated since 2018 or 2018. It's all this all this economical turmoil caused by the pandemic, by the lockdowns, by shortages of microchips for production in the German industry. It's a huge problem. There are 300,000 jobs in the industry where it disappeared from the German market in the last 4 years. And the unemployment is slightly rising, and the German economic model is burning out. Germany needs to redefine itself. And this leads to uncertainty. There's this feeling of uncertainty in the German population. And this leads to, this is called securitization, is that we need this feeling of being safe. But safety doesn't mean only like military security. It means they want to be also shielded from the pressure of the failing economy as well. And this is something that all the leaders need to tackle. And the thing is, who will be more, who will convince the German, the statistical German family, they will be able to generate growth in the German economy through their policies. So this feeling of not being safe, uncertainty for the future, this is now the main factor that will decide the result of the German election.
Piotr, let me ask you this. Friedrich Merz has reportedly criticized the government's handling of course, immigration and energy. Now, will these issues shape the election narrative? How can you comment on this?
Well, obviously, as I said earlier, Scholz was under the pressure of this new French left-wing party, but Merz has a different problem. He has the Alternative for Deutschland. He has the far right, which it's polling between 15 to 20% from time to time, and this is his biggest issue. He has the electorate there that he can try to regain, and he's trying to. One of the issues that he moved the position of the CDU party, of the Christian Democratic Party, from the welcome culture and the we can do it from Wir schaffen das from Angela Merkel to a much more anti-immigration stance. So the Overton window the window of the political discourse in Germany is shifting much more to the right, and this is the strategy that Friedrich Merz has applied. And about nuclear energy, well, it was also his own party, and it was his predecessor Angela Merkel that decided to phase out nuclear power, which is now a huge issue in Germany simply because Germany cannot generate enough electrical power. They need to import it. They need to buy it from France, Sweden, for example, and other neighbors, from Poland as well from time to time.
Mhm.
And this is an issue for the economy as well. It's all connected, obviously. Yes, it's an issue for the high energy prices are making German industry uncompetitive. And this is why Merz speaks so much about restarting nuclear power. But is it actually possible? Is it actually a feasible strategy? I'm not so convinced because the last three nuclear power plants were phased out in such a way that they will. It's not going to be easy to restart them, and to enter them into the German energy system once again. So it's a
Piotr, let me
of the
ask you
future,
this.
and it's not really a viable strategy.
Let me shift you just very briefly to the foreign policy focus. How could the outcome of this election influence Germany's stance on EU issues, on, of course, the incoming president of the United States and the war in Ukraine and its relationship with Russia? We just have a minute left, so
Okay,
just very
I'm going to
briefly,
start
if you
with
can
the
answer
last.
that. Sure.
Okay, so Friedrich Merz has a more hawkish position than Scholz, who's like has this pigeon attitude. So Merz has many times said that he would deliver long-range missiles to Ukraine and wants to support Ukraine even more. Now, to the transatlantic relations, traditionally Christian Democrats are the Atlantic Party in Germany, but there is also this talk that Friedrich Merz actually could be a good partner to talk with Donald Trump simply because he spent so much time in the private sector, in the financial sector, in the business, and in the business, yes. And he worked for BlackRock and other companies. So as this experienced businessman, he would be a good negotiator for the challenge that Donald Trump poses for Germany. At least this is the opinion of the press in Germany right now.
Thank you so much, Piotr Andrzejewski from the Institute for Western Affairs, for being with us here this morning on World Talks.
Thank you for the invitation.
And that completes this edition of World Talks here on TVP World, where every word matters. I'm Diana Skaya. Thanks for being with us.